el exec, el vele, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 116 of the Exec Talk podcast. I'm your host, Del Velez. Yes, I don't have a hat today. I'm wearing the lean glasses today. And the reason why is because the Celtics won the championship 5-1. Excuse me, 4-1. Game 5 was over. I'd say midpoint of the second quarter. 21-point lead at halftime, including a Peyton Pritchard heave from half court at the end of the quarter that I thought, based on what he did in game 1, that they would try to maybe get the ball out of his hands or, put a hand up. But unfortunately, they just let him take it and went from 18 to 21. That's tough. We could go through the box score, but, the real likes, by the way, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, follow me on all my socials. Thank you for all the support. What's tough about it is it didn't live up to the finals that I thought we would get. And when I say that, the game ended 106-88, so the Mavs didn't score 100 again. When you look at the box score, what happened basically was that, at certain points in the game, Boston got hot from 3. They only shot 33% for the game, but at certain points of the game, they got hot. Second quarter, beginning of the third, during the third, Tatum had 31, 11 for 24, 1 for 7 from 3, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Horford had 9 points, 2 threes. Holiday had 15 points, 7 for 14 with 11 rebounds. That right there, the Drew Holidays who got the party started, really, with the duck-ins and the cuts from the baseline, him and Jaylen Brown. Unfortunately, he saw that there was not much going on. The game was really close between 2, 3, 5 points. And he kind of just started ducking in. He got bucket after bucket after bucket. They started growing the lead. And once they got to 21, it was out of their hands at that point. Derek White went 4 for 10, 4 of 8 from 3. 14 points. Jaylen Brown went 7 for 23, 2 of 9. 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 21 points. Sam Hauser, 8 points, 2 of 6 from 3. He hit 2 big threes and momentum shifters. Porzingis scored 5 points and left. He looked hobbled, completely hobbled, but he blocked some shots and stuff like that. He had some effect. Peyton Pritchard had that 1-3. And they shot 43% from the field, 33% from 3. They had 51 rebounds, though, to 35. 25 assists to 18. The Mavs shot 30% from 3. They shot 45% from the field, but 30% from 3. PJ had 4 points, non-factor. Derek Jones had 10 points, created, was doing something, but wasn't enough, obviously. Daniel Gafford had 6 points. Kyrie Irving had 15, 5 for 16, 3 of 9. Listen, I know that he's a great finals performer, a great playoff performer over his career and everything like that. But there's got to be something wrong in Boston. He did stomp on Lucky before he left and got traded to Brooklyn. I think that there's something psychological I think that it's not that he's not mentally tough because he could do this against anybody. He could go off against anybody. But in Boston, he either feels the crowd and feels what they're saying, or like it overwhelms him because he hasn't won since he left against them. It's been 13 games in a row. At Boston, he hasn't won. They won. They won in Dallas, and that broke the streak of 12 in a row. In general for him, but 15 points in in an elimination game on the road is just not what Luka needs. And Luka went 12 for 25, 2 of 9 from 3, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 28 points. Didn't have his most efficient night. Almost shot 50% from the field, but 2 of 9 from 3 is bad. Kyrie with 3 of 9. Josh Green had 14 points, 4 of 6 from 3, 5 of 8 from the field. Nobody else gave him anything else. 4 points from Exum. Derek Lively, 2 points in 24 minutes, which is awful. Kleber, 2 points, 0 for 2 from 3. So overall, unfortunately, the 3-0 comeback was not possible. I said Mavs in 6. Obviously, I was wrong. I take that. The writing was on the wall all season long. The media, we did not want to adhere or attach ourselves or even just like acknowledge like that they were that good. I knew that KP was that big like if factor this year, but probably the biggest acquisition for them was Drew Holiday. 2-time champ, one of the best defenders of this generation, a true leader. And, I think it was overlooked how important Drew is, coming from Milwaukee. Didn't have an off year by any means, but like people don't know how really good he is and smart and just a leader. Knows what it takes to win a championship. Did it with Giannis. Covered Kyrie to a T this series. Unfortunately, Kyrie couldn't like get loose. I mean, it is what it is at this point. One would want for Kyrie to like, you would want Kyrie to at least show up in an elimination game. You would want Luka to try to put in his best performance. And it just didn't happen. It kind of looked like they resigned themselves to like, all right, we got one. We didn't get swept. Same thing with what the Timberwolves did. It's sad. It's sad. But let's talk about the Boston Celtics, all right? Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Even though I don't want to, but they won the championship, so we got to talk about it. 18th banner for the Boston Celtics, something that the NBA wanted to spark up the rivalry of the Lakers and Boston again because it hasn't been in the spotlight for a very long time. I would want to say probably 2010, their last finals meeting. They haven't really came close to being in the finals, unless you count last year, if you want to call the Lakers close, even though they got swept, and then Boston in the Eastern Conference Final. That's as close as it's kind of been. Maybe in the bubble when we beat the Celtics and the Lakers made it to the final. That's what the league wanted for sure. They still want that. But what this does now is brings the Celtics back into prominence, gives the NBA a little bit more boost coming into next year, considering that, their most illustrious franchise is the defending champion. But unfortunately, or fortunately, however, which fan you are or however you look at it, I told you that Jaylen Brown was gonna win the Finals MVP. I told you before the series started that if the Boston won, it would have been Jaylen Brown. And what happened? 11 votes, 7-4. Jaylen Brown to Jason Tatum. I don't care if Jason Tatum scored 31 the last game. That game didn't mean that. When you score the points, to me, is more important than how many points you score. So if you score 24, but you score 14 in the fourth quarter, that's impactful. But you score 31 and 20 of them were in the first half. You only scored 11 in the second half. And I don't care if you led your team in points, rebounds, assists, what have you. Your shooting splits go with those numbers. So if you're scoring, you're averaging 30, but you're shooting 40% from the field, 35% from the field, 30% from three, you're not being efficient. That means you're kind of wasting possessions. You're getting your numbers, but wasting possessions. And I just felt like Tatum yesterday was trying too hard to try to get the Finals MVP, knowing that he probably didn't have it in hand heading into the game. But I'm happy for Jaylen Brown. I'm happy for Jaylen Brown. I still feel like he has the more dog in the team. I heard the Gills Arena podcast debate who's the best player on the team. Listen, there is two things here, okay? There's one thing that's called talent, and there's something that's called intangible talent. Okay? Talent is Jason Tatum. You can see it. Oh, that's a nice J. He has a handle, 6'9". He's also kind of a pretty boy. It's a game that stylistically looks good. But the intangible talent is the leadership, the dog, the want to, the ability to say, to hell with whatever we got going on. We need a bucket, and I'm going to go get it. That's Jaylen Brown. Whether it looks, whether it feels like a superstar type of game, that's a superstar type of mentality. And that's intangible to the talent that's visible and tangible. So I'm happy for Jaylen Brown. Let's go through the roster and look at like the surprise. They got a championship. They can say that they're an NBA champion. Let's start right off the top. Moving on from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Let's start with Drew Holiday, two-time champ. 2 giant contributions in both championships defensively, offensively as well. You could have argued that he might have been Finals MVP if he didn't have that 9-point performance or 3-point performance in Game 4, but they all played bad. The defense that he played in Kyrie was absolutely incredible. Lockdown. I thought Kyrie should have tried to really embarrass him. What I mean by that is like Kyrie didn't have the killer instinct this series. I don't know what it was, but it just was not there. Like the Kyrie that I remember in 2016, this man will, if you stood in a defensive stance in front of him, his goal before scoring was embarrassing you for trying to cover him. And I just didn't see that fervor, that excuse me, that's killer instinct from Kyrie this whole series, to be honest. Like this whole series. So Drew, well-deserved second championship. Al Horford, 17 years. Retírate in Spanish, because he's Dominican. Retire. It's over, bro. 17 years. It's done. Get out of there. You're a two-time NCAA champion back-to-back, Florida Gators, 2007, 2008, or 2006, 2007. I believe it was 2007, 2008. No, it was 2006 because they both the basketball team and the football team won a championship together. That was 06 and then 07. Al Horford, Udonis Haslem. Who else was on that team? Corey Brewer, Joakim Noah, Al Horford. Yeah, it was a stacked team in college. So I think Al Horford should retire. I don't think he needs anything else. He breaks the streak that he was almost catching to Karl Malone for the most playoff games played without a championship. After that goes the next thing is Derek White. Derek White broke his face for this championship. In Game 5, this man got his face literally just fell on. And it's hilarious because that man was already one of the ugliest people on this planet. And then when he broke his teeth was even more hilarious. He looked like a hockey player. He just played for the Bruins. He gets a championship after coming from the Spurs. So it's like something that, you know, when you look at the people whose career starts at the Spurs, they're instilled a certain type of calmness and purpose, like a sense of purpose on the basketball court. And he did anything. He played defense. He scored threes. And man, do I hate this man when he takes his step back threes. They look like they're going to go in. And you see an air ball, and then he sinks 3 in a row. I mean, it's annoying. And then when he gets it cooking, was a step back and like stare at you in the face, dribble, step, side step 3, and just wet. I hate that dude. I hate it. So he gets one. KP, after being drafted by the Knicks, being the savior, said being the savior of the Knicks, then went to the Mavericks, thought he was going to help Luka go get one. Then they send him to the purgatory that is the Wizards. And then, in exchange for the Celtics getting 2 first-round picks with KP, they get the guy that basically swung the pendulum so far their way during the regular season that when it came to the playoffs and they faced a bunch of hurt people, they didn't even need him. But when they used him in the finals, he was very impactful. First quarter, game 1, 7, 12, 15 points. First half, 20 points. Like, that's KP's impact. Now let's get to the funny people. First funny person that won this championship, Peyton Pritchard, a white backup point guard that plays for Boston. That's just there's something funny about this. There's something very Wes Welker, Julian Edelman-esque about that. Not that he is at that level because Julian is a starter. So is Wes. But I think that he's a good backup point guard. He's shown he could be a scorer. He has a shot. He's a pesky defender. The next funny guy, Sam Hauser, another funny ass dude to have. Like, that's hilarious to me. Sam Hauser, do you see this man? Like, and then Sam Hauser's one, but he has he has a tube from three, and he played pretty good defense this series in spurts, but he got cooked by Luka, and hit some clutch threes here and there, or important threes and stretches where they needed offense. Especially in Game 5 when he hit threes, I was like, this man's the one's gonna carry him like through this little stretch, and he did. But I think by far, the funniest dude that will have a ring come October and will receive a ring is Luke fucking Cornett. I don't know how he made this basketball team. Me and my dad, when we see him play, we asked ourselves that question. How is he on the Celtics? It's like a third string center. Doesn't do much. Not mobile. Not a shot blocker by any means. Sets screens. Passes. Not much of a scorer. But he just looks like he does not belong on a basketball court. Just by the way that the jersey and shorts look on him. The way he moves. It's just this. This is all I think about when I see that guy on the court. Just laugh. I mean, he's ugly as shit too. Then you got Xavier Tillman, came from the Memphis, so he went from Memphis to a championship mid-season. You got a guy like you get Brissett, who also came, I believe, from the San Antonio Spurs. The most important person to me, the most two important people to me that get their championships, before this playoff series and even playoff run, my thought and views on Joe Mazzulla was, he didn't know basketball. If I'm being honest, I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. I like Ime Udoka a lot more, and I still do. But with this championship, what it shows to the league is that Joe Mazzulla's formula works if you have the right pieces. The outnumbering, basically out analytical the other team. If you shoot more threes, eventually you'll make more threes, and you outscore them, you overwhelm them while they're scoring twos. Their defense made that possible, but at the same time, they didn't have a 40% 3-point shooting night the whole finals. And the funnier thing is, they didn't shoot well this series. They literally hung their head on defense. They said Mazzulla ball, that's what they call it now. Let Luka cook. We'll stay on the shooters. We'll stay on the we're gonna match up Kyrie. We're gonna match up Luka 1-on-1 whole series, And if they beat us, so be it. But we're not going to let PJ Washington and Josh Green and Derrick Jones Jr. hit us from the corner with the corner threes and then Derek Lively and Gafford with the lobs. And that's Missoula ball. While they did that on defense, on offense, it was move the ball and just shoot three. Just keep shooting threes. Dribble, drive, kick, swing, dribble, drive, kick, swing. When nothing was happening, inside cut, slot cut, back door, dunker spot, simple shit, and it worked. Missoula ball worked. It's annoying because now I know that people are going to get even more analytical in the game. And I wish that the game would stay human with coaches like, the Pat Rileys, the Eric Spoelstras, like that's what I would enjoy as an NBA fan is like, don't give me all the, you could get a little analytical. You could, tendencies and stuff like that, but don't just fall in love with the analytics to the point where like, that's what you want to win with. And I feel like Missoula, to some extent, that's what he did. But they won. And by far, so he has my respect, Missoula. And by far, the guy who's going to get the most credit for me for this championship and this run is Brad Stevens. Oh, sorry. Wrong button. It's Brad Stevens. And the reason why is because he built this team. He was the coach of the Celtics, moved into the front office. He's the one that made the deal for Derek White. He's the one that made the deal for KP. He's the one that made the deal for Drew Holiday. Like, he made the deal for all these guys. He's the one that said, yes, we're paying Jaylen Brown, And to me, as young as he is, because I remember him at Butler as a coach at Butler, the school, before he went to the Celtics. I think that his ability to look ahead or have a vision of what he wanted for his team, what he wanted his team to look like, how he was going to build around Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, knowing that Marcus Smart had to go, knowing that Time Lord had to go in order for them to get to a point of talent where even if scheme or even like high-end talent they're not at that level, they weren't at the level of that team, they had enough aggregate talent and such a good scheme based around defense that it would overcome everything, and that's exactly what happened. Now, let me be very, very clear. This is it's about time championship. This is not a celebratory, oh my God, yes. Like, you can tell on Twitter, you can tell on the talk shows, you can tell that the questions are still very much there and relevant. And the reason is Jason Tatum did not show up like he was supposed. If you're number one guy and you want to be the best player, known as the best player in the world, you got to show up in the finals. And you did not. You just did not. 17, 31, 17, 9, 31. No, I don't care how much you're passing. I don't care how much you're rebounding. Your efficiency was not up to par with what your status as a player during your career has said. You're a guy who averaged 30 in the regular season last year. You took a step back this year because of your teammates. In the playoffs, there is no stepping back. You think because Jamal steps back in the regular season then in the playoffs, Jokic is not going to let him go off for 35, 40 when he wants to? No. You give everything you have. And I just feel like, my boy, either forget about the three or really work on it. And I'm talking about work on a standstill shot first. Don't be working on no Kobe step back, sidestep, T-Mac, Curry. You know, don't be not the hero shots. You don't have them in your bag. And I don't want to hear Stephen A. I don't want to hear Jay Will. I don't want to hear none of these dudes say that he has the big shot in the bag. He does not have the big shot in the bag. He does not. Okay? That is not there. I don't care how many he's hit. If you see how many he's taken, it's not in the bag. Rather have Jaylen Brown take it, or even Derek White, or even Drew Holiday. If I'm being honest. Because it's just not in there. The dog's not in there. The want to wasn't there till game 5. The want to like, I want to win that award. I want to win finals MVP. Now, they're going to say Jason Tatum's still the best. That's fine. But you're not going to tell me the guy who leads the team, and you're not going to tell me the guy who really puts in that vocal work is not Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday, one of those two. But, you know, shout out to the Celtics, man. I mean, I'm a Heat fan, so I still hate this shit. I wanted Luka to get his. Speaking on the Mavs, if we speak on the Mavs, they have to get one more scoring piece. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a non-factor this series. Get him out. I think it's time. We need better three-point shooters. The Dallas needs better three-point shooters. Should they go after a Klay Thompson? I think that would be a wise investment. Should they go after somebody like Buddy Hield if Klay Thompson goes to Philadelphia? I think that would be a very wise investment. Should they go for a Lauri Markkanen? I think that would be a very wise investment. You can play him with Lively or Gafford at the 4. You know, there is many guys that you can see in the league that could help Dallas, but they need a scorer. And what I mean a scorer is like you have the ultimate weapon when you can 3-2 a team. The reason why, you know, Steph, KD, and Klay worked is because usually in the NBA, you don't have 3 guys that can stop somebody. You got 2, maybe you have 3, but you're doubling off using 2 of them and then single, like somebody's going to be single covered. If you have 2 guys, there's a possibility to do like Boston did, to just trust your defensive players to not shut down, but, you know, limit the second one especially, and try to make it hard for the first guy, Luka. But if you have a third guy, if that swing goes to a Klay Thompson, if that swing goes to a Lauri Markkanen, a Buddy Hield, there is no way in hell, no way that you are going to leave that person. So there is no double. And you guys might say, oh, but they didn't double all series. They just one-on-one'd you. Okay, but the thing is, especially with a guy like Lauri Markkanen, he's 7 foot shooting a 3 and going to the hole. That's a dynamic. For example, Jaylen Brown's on Luka, which he was most of the series. Drew Holiday's on Kyrie. So you're telling me that if I have Lauri Markkanen, I have a 7 foot, 40% 3-point shooter that's going to be either covered by Derek White, Al Horford, KP, or Jason Tatum. Although those matchups sound great, Derek White versus a 7-foot power forward, I don't, as a Celtic, I wouldn't like that matchup. KP being as skinny as he is, Laurie can get into him. You also need a defensive stopper on the Dallas Mavericks. So like you can talk about the offensive end, and that's definitely the shortcoming this series. But how about if you had better shooters on the outside? And this is saying like PJ could become a better shooter. He could practice this upcoming off season, and Derek Jones to a lesser degree. Tim Hardaway could try to be consistent in the playoffs. But at the same time, like you got to find something. Maybe Derek Lively finds a shot, but something you have to change something because Timberwolves are going to get better somehow. Still got OKC, still got Denver, still got the Pelicans. Now you're going to have the Grizzlies again with Ja. Moves are going to be made. You got Wemby. Got the Suns. Clips. Like, it's still going to be stacked. It's still going to be a gauntlet. And to get back, it's going to be very hard. Very hard. But yeah, 18th banner for the Celtics. Shout out Boston. Another championship for you guys. Whoop-de-doo. Just hope that you guys don't win it next year. That's just hopefully everybody's healthy. If you win it next year and everybody's healthy, I'll give you your ultimate respect. But I cannot give ultimate respect when no Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier, no you didn't have to go through Giannis. You didn't have to go through Embiid. You didn't have to go through Brunson. Like, you didn't have to go through nobody, bro. Nobody. And I guess that's what it is with the first seed. Yeah, but even when you faced your matchups in the later rounds, you still didn't have to face people for multiple games. And you still lost some games when they didn't have them people. So, overall, I think that it is a Mickey Mouse ring. It's just how I see it. My dad is not going to like that. We talked about it. They won the thing fair and square. Yes, they won it fair and square, but at the same time, like they didn't really face anybody. They didn't face anybody. Can't tell me a game. You can't tell me a team goes 15-3 in the playoffs is an all-time great team when they didn't even face the toughest competition that they could have faced with the opponents that they drew. And there's a belief in me that I believe if the Knicks were healthy, that they could have definitely beat the Celtics. Because if Indiana could outscore them for some stretches, that means the Knicks defense could definitely affect them if they met up. But hypotheticals, we're not here for that. Shout out to the Celtics. Another thing that happened. The Florida Panthers couldn't close. We lost yesterday at home 5-3. It was 3-0. We scored. They scored. 14 seconds later, we score 4-2. And then with 17 seconds left, McDavid gets a rebound off to Chuck empty net save to make the score 5-3. Bobrovsky, I don't know if he's lost his confidence. I don't think so. Edmonton looks like they've got a certain type of swagger about them. I don't like it. We're turning over too many pucks on our side, and then We do not have the speed. We're big brutes, so we don't have the speed to keep up with a McDavid, a Draisaitl. Like, we just don't have that type of speed. And Connor McDavid exploding for 8 points the last 2 games. 3 assists, a goal. Like, if he's gonna dominate, we can lose. And yes, I'm nervous going back to Edmonton for a game 6. We just gotta finish it. We gotta do the old Michael Jordan. I'm packing one suit. We're not coming back. We're coming back with the Stanley Cup with Lordo. And I believe that. But we must play better defense. We can keep playing aggressive, but cannot be getting as many penalties. And if we do get penalties, we need to kill those penalties. We cannot allow power play goals. They didn't have any. Now they have like 5. The Oilers. An underman goal. We allowed another one yesterday, being the first goal of the game, which was super important in the first period. Went down 1-0 on an underman goal. We were on the power play. They stole the puck around the blue line, and Brown does a nasty move on Bobrovsky and sneaks it in. McDavid's goal was absolutely stupid. Side, no angle. I believe it hit Bobrovsky's leg and went in. No angle. We're talking about like this. And yeah, so I feel like Tkachuk and Barkov, we gotta play better. Not nastier, but we gotta play physical, dominate the game physically. Make sure that we impose our will on them. Score first. We need to score first. The last 2 games we've scored, we haven't scored first, and we've lost. Okay? Bobrovsky has to stand on his head, especially in Edmonton. Skinner has been playing really well for Edmonton the last 2 games. But I believe we closed it out in 6. And Lord Stanley's Cup is coming to Sunrise. Little things here and there. Pascal Siakam signs a 4-year deal worth $180-something million, $89.5 million with the Pacers. This was kind of expected. Wendy alluded to this like 2 days ago. It was expected. They needed to keep him. That was their big move in the middle of the season to get him. He played well in the playoffs. He plays well off of Tyrese Halliburton. So there's no problem with that. Same thing they're gonna do with Jason Tatum. They're gonna max him out $315. Can't do nothing else. You have to do it. You're gonna have $600 million plus into players, but you won a championship, so it's all worth it. I think that for Pascal Siakam, I think it was good. I think it's a good move for the Pacers. On other things, Monty Williams got fired with 68.7, 68.5 million left. He got kicked out of Detroit. That's hilarious. It was hilarious to see Monty Williams get let go today. And the reason why is because he went from the Suns, took him to the finals, to then going to Detroit for a record amount of money and having the worst losing streak in the NBA history. Now, he's still going to get the $68.5 million. But at the same time, you failed. That was a failure of catastrophic and atomic proportions. Um, it came from upper management and ownership, which is perfectly understandable, especially because Weaver's gone. So, they want to turn the page. They have good pieces there. We'll see who they pick up, if it's a young or old coach. Um, but they have some talent there with Thompson and Ivy, Cade, Duran. There is talent there for sure. Um, Other than that, Aaron Judge got hurt. He's day to day. Thank God he's not like it wasn't broke. Like Mookie Betts, he got hit basically in the same place on the wrist as Mookie, but it didn't get fractured. He just missed a game. So he's day to day. And then after that, I believe that is all the big storylines from Willie Mays, RIP to arguably the greatest, if not, and arguably the greatest player in baseball history, 24-time All-Star. I mean, 18, I believe it was like 18 gold gloves. Like everything's crazy. Everything about his accolades is crazy. He played in the Negro League. It was kind of bittersweet. I mean, not even bittersweet. It's kind of bitter ending because like Rick Wood, the Field of Dreams game was today to commemorate the Negro League and him and his dad and Jackie Robinson, Satchel Paige and Bob Gibson. Like, you were gonna be able to celebrate that, but he died at the age of 93, lived a wonderful life, and just a true legend of the game of baseball. The Say Hey Kid will be missed and honored for, forever, as long as the game is around. Truly one of the greats, and RIP to Willie Mays. All right. Baseball wise, we're not gonna talk about standings. I'm not gonna talk your ear about. All I'm gonna say some observations. Paul Skeens is the real thing. He's the real deal. 7 starts, under a 3 ERA, striking out 7 to 8. He is the real dude. Jared Jones, the real dude, just has to understand or add another pitch. Because once they're on his heater, they're hitting bombs. Garrett Crochet is rumored. I saw on Twitter. I'm not sure, or on YouTube, rumored to go to Houston. That would be perfect because they don't have McCullers, because JV's not pitching his best, because they don't have Vasquez. Fromber pitched well yesterday. Aaron Getty, Garrett Crochet would add some needed depth of arm, A+ talent to that lineup, that rotation. So I think Garrett, that would be a Garrett Crochet to Houston would be nice. It wouldn't be my first choice for him. It would actually, yeah, the best team he could go to. Yeah. Houston probably the best team he could go to. Maybe Texas because of DeGrom and Scherzer injury, but once they come back, what do you do? Unless you chip out Lorenzen or Dane Dunning, somebody like that. But yeah, I think Garrett Crochet to the Houston Astros would help them a lot. Not that they can win the division, although they can try to get up there. But and then the last thing I want to say is that right now, to me, the AL MVP race is between Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr., and Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. I think those are the four in the AL that are going dumb nuts this season. In the NL, you have guys like Willie Contreras, Shohei, Bryce, but overall, I think that the true MVP is probably in the AL this year, just because of what I've seen. Although I love Shohei. Noah Zuna. Noah Cunha, so that hurts. Mookie out for a month. That hurts. 6 to 8 weeks. That hurts. Those MVP race. Philly, of course. But overall, I think the true MVP of the league is with the AL. Whether it's Soto, Gunnar Henderson, Aaron Judge, or Bobby Witt Jr. Same thing for the Cy Young. For me, Shota in the NL right now has been going dummy. Ranger Suarez. In the AL, Garrett Cole pitched today, but I guess he's not in it yet. In the AL, Tarek Skubal, he's in the NL. Cole Reagans, Cole Reagans. I just wish like the actual like prominent pitchers were up right now, but Scherzers, Groms, like right now there isn't. So, I think the best pitchers are in the NL right now. With Yamamoto's hurt, but Shota, you got Skeens, you got Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, but he's with the White Sox, so it's tough, to like defend him for the, But Cy Young wise in the AL, I have to really think about it because even the Yankees, Lewis Hill probably is up there with Cole Reagans. Let's see. There's so much separation between the teams from the top to the bottom in the AL. I think Lewis Hill right now would be the AL front runner for Cy Young. But other than that, I think water's starting to find its level in the MLB. But there's less teams this year that are actually really, really good. Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, Orioles. Because Seattle's leading the AL West right now. Oh, there's a Cy Young candidate. One of the pitchers or two of the pitchers from Seattle. I would have to pick probably George Kirby. If not, Bryce Miller. But all of them are kind of going off. That's why they're first in the division. Chris Sale's having a great season, but that's all NL. The Reds could be doing better pitching. They could be doing a lot better pitching. But other than that, I love you guys. Hopefully we're celebrating a Stanley Cup for Florida Panthers next week when episode 117 comes out. NFL training camps are starting, kind of, so we'll get some news on that. We have the NBA draft coming up. And yeah, we have the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. Hopefully Verstappen doesn't win. We're hoping. NASCAR's in New Hampshire. Indy, I'm not sure where they're at, but I know there's Indy this week, IndyCar. But overall, thank you so much. This has been episode 116 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Del Velez. I love you guys. Like, subscribe, hit the comments, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next episode. Leave you all with the outro.